Hello and welcome. I am Scrapperlock and this is City of Heroes. We are with Mr. Eclipse, our level 26 Dominator who needs 83,000 XP to get to the next level. And we actually leveled up very quickly after the last episode, so I did a little bit of Scroll of Tieleku without to test out our new power, which is Fearsome Stare. It's a cone that supposedly affects everybody. And it was only affecting one guy every time I threw it. I'm like, is this a cone or not? I mean, it looks like a cone on the art. It says it's a cone. Apparently, the minion Banished Pantheons must be immune to it because I haven't had it affect either they're very resistant or they're immune to it because I haven't had it affect any of them. Um, so I'm probably not going to use it because it costs quite a bit of endurance. It has a long recharge rate and it's only going to work on the lieutenants anyway. And I'm just going to hold them. Um, these guys are much more frustrating than I expected as a Dominator. If I hold them, it's great. If I don't hold them, those lieutenants can do some pretty serious mezzes, and I haven't face planted, but I've gotten close a couple of times. Before we do anything, talk about role-playing games and City of Heroes, I do want to make a public service announcement, and I am so mad at myself that I almost got caught in this. But guys, there are scams out there all the time. Be careful of scammers. I was just scammed by what was supposedly a sheriff's deputy from the next county over. I live right on the county line, so it wasn't that weird that I would perhaps hear from them. And the phone number was correct. He even encouraged me to go onto Google and check the phone number of the law enforcement, of the county sheriff, and confirm that it was the right number. And he said, I said, well, you could still spoof the number. And he said, oh, no, it's not possible to spoof law enforcement. I'm like, that doesn't sound right. But yeah, he texted me some sort of a court document, claimed that I had been called as an expert witness. Folks, unless it's to be a witness to play City of Heroes, I'm not an expert anybody would call. I was a marine biologist, right? I said, I don't know, like, what expert in what? And he said, well, I can't answer that. I said, I used to be a marine biologist. He said, well, maybe that's it. I said, yeah, I haven't published any papers in marine biology in 10 years. And I've done a little bit of animal behavior, but not enough to be considered an expert. I'm a professional scientist, but there's no particular field that I would imagine anybody would call me for as an expert witness. There'd be so many better people you could call, even right here in the state, not at my university, but in the state of that I live in. There would be a lot of people who are better experts in marine biology, like the people who work at the marine field station and stuff. That oops, I didn't mean to do that. I meant to do that. I don't know what I would be an expert in, but supposedly a court summons was sent to me in August, and on August 5th, and I supposedly signed it and agreed to come to court. And then yesterday I was supposed to appear in court, and I didn't. And so he texted me this very official-looking document from this District Court of North Carolina showing that I had failed to appear. I didn't. Of course, they do this on purpose. They're in a rush, right? They want to get you to agree to things. I read it, but I didn't read it in very minute detail. Read these things in minute detail. First thing is a discrepancy between what he said the charge was and what the charge claimed on the document. He claimed that I was called as a witness and failed to appear, and that failure to appear is a crime, and I'm going to be in trouble, and it's a misdemeanor, and blah, 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 and there could be jail time associated if I don't clear this up. And he's just trying to help me get it cleared up. But what the document says, which I read later, is that I was summoned to federal grand jury duty, and I did not appear. Well, those are not the same charge, right? A witness is not a juror. He said I was summoned to be a witness. The document said I was summoned to be a juror. And I didn't read that part carefully because it was the last bullet on a bullet of 4 things on the document. The other thing that I didn't notice, and I didn't think to check, was that at the top of the document, it says it's for the Northern District of my state. And when I Googled that, because I said, well, Monday morning, after I realized this was a scam, I said, I'm still going to call the court Monday morning and let them know this is going on, and also just confirm that I'm not on any witness lists or anything like that. There is no northern district for federal district for my state. There's an eastern and a western district, but there's no northern district. Doesn't exist. So I'm going to call my district and, you know, let them know what's going on, confirm that there's no particular reason I need to show up in court and all of that. But yeah, my county, well, actually both my county and the neighboring county that this supposed sheriff's deputy was from are in the central district. There's a central, an east, and a west. And there is no northern district in this state. And it's because the state is wider than it is long, I guess, and so they split it up left to right instead of top to bottom. And so, yeah, there is no such district. Now, you have to ask yourself, if the scammer knows that he's going to tell me I'm charged with failure to appear as a witness, why did he write failure to appear on a jury as the charge? I don't know. And why did they put the northern district of a state that doesn't have the northern district? And my guess is these are generic documents and they just put your name and address on it while they're talking to you on the phone, right? Oh, I've got this guy. This person didn't hang up on me. Let's start putting their details in, right? I should have. My instinct told me to contact the sheriff's department. He said, well, you're just going to get an automated message because it's a Saturday, right? This could take a long time to clear up, and if you don't clear it up now, then I'm going to just have to send this through, and you know, you're going to have to be fingerprinted and all the rest of it when you come in. But we can take care of this right now if you want to do it this way. And I'm like, well, that sounds a little weird. But what I thought he was going to ask me to do, right, I wrote down, he even told me write down the address of the sheriff's department. I thought I was going to go in to the sheriff's department, right? And if I had actually been talking to a sheriff and gone into the sheriff's department's not going to scam you, right? They're the official department. So I figured, okay, this is no problem. I'll drive in there. If it is a scam, they'll just laugh me out of the office and say it's a scam, and I'll just go back home, right? And 20 minutes lost. Then he says to me, well, he says there's a fine. You'll get the money back if you're found not guilty, but that's going to require appearing in court. And so he said, you know, when you get here, if you don't pay, we're going to have to arrest you, right? We're going to have to put you in jail until Monday. So I was like, okay, that's not good. What can I do about that? And he said, well, you can bring the money for the charge and pay it, and if you're found innocent, you'll get the money back. So, okay, still fine. It's the sheriff's department. They're not going to cheat me, right? Let me show you. Fear. The only one who's afraid is the death shaman. These guys do not feel fear, which is reasonable. They are undead. So, so then he told me the amounts, and it was like $2,500 for contempt of court and $2,500 for failure to appear, which sounded like a lot of money for a first-time offense on somebody who, you know, just didn't show up as a witness. I don't know what the actual fines would be, but that sounds like an awful lot of money for that charge. So I said, all right. So he said, we only take cash. So I actually went to the bank. I got the cash out. The teller didn't seem fazed that I asked for $5,000 in cash, which I think they should be trained to be fazed by that, especially when somebody doesn't take that kind of cash out ever. I mean, like if I take out cash, it's like $80, $100, maybe $200 if I'm going on vacation and I don't think I'm going to be able to get to an ATM. I almost never take that kind of cash out. I do everything with my credit card, or if I need money, I go to an ATM. So. And this is a Saturday, so I have to get to the bank before they close at 1 o'clock, right? Thankfully, they were not that crowded. And so I took the cash, and I thought he was going to say, I had the address of the sheriff's department. I said, I'll come into the sheriff's department now. He said, no, we can't take the cash here. You have to go to one of our self-service kiosks. And I thought, okay, this is sounding very weird. And so he said, you have to go to one of our self-service kiosks. And guys, pay attention to this scam because it might happen to you. It's happening, according to the sheriff's department, this is happening all over America. And they've had a lot of calls about this, and they've had people who have been caught. And I almost was, right? He said, you're going to go to one of our self-service kiosks. They're all over our county. Go into any supermarket. And I'm like, that's weird. I don't remember ever seeing like a sheriff's department self-service kiosk in my supermarket. But I went to the supermarket, right? And he said, go to the Coinstar. I'm like, Coinstar? That's weird, right? And then he tells me to, you know, he's trying to talk me through the, you know, the menu options. He tells me to go into Bitcoin. And I'm like, wait a minute, Bitcoin? no, that sounds like a scam. I said, I know there are scammers who do this. And he's like, yeah, I know, but this is how we have to do it. It's third party, blah, blah. He gave me this whole big spiel that was like, as I told the woman at the switchboard in my county, the guy should be nominated for an Academy Award. He sounded like a sheriff's deputy. He was saying all the right things. And he said, he had given me these two code numbers, an RTA number, which is a FTA number, failure to appear, and a COC number, which was the contempt of court. 10 digits. And if you add it up, it's a phone number, which is what Bitcoin is asking you to do. Please input your phone number. Like, Bitcoin is asking me to put in a phone number. Oh, but if you put those two digits in, and I'm like, this doesn't sound right. I said, officer, I'm afraid I live like 5 minutes from here. I said, I'm going back to my house. The whole time he's like, keep me on the phone. You got to stay on the phone with me. Because he said if you get pulled over, like for speeding or any traffic violations, you have a warrant out for your arrest, they could just arrest you right there. But if I'm on the line with you, I'll confirm my badge number and blah, blah, blah. And this way they will know that you're on your way to clear this up and they won't arrest you. I'm like, okay, that's why he was on the phone with me this whole time. Really stupid of me. I'm telling you guys, it was really stupid. I should have immediately, I have a landline in my house. I should have said, hold on a second, muted the phone, and then called up with my landline and said, what's going on? So I said to him, look, this is what they always tell us about scams. I said, I just want to go home and use my landline to call up the sheriff's office. I can stay on the line with you and just confirm. And then he got really nasty, and he said, I'm trying to give you a chance here. If you do that, I'm just gonna send this over for your arrest. And I said, well, why would you do that? If I confirm it, I'll come back and do what you're telling me to do. No, he said, if you call them up, he like acted like he was talking off the phone. He said, I just told the switchboard that if you call them up, they're supposed to tell you that this is a scam. And I'm just going to send cars to arrest you. And I'm like, that's weird. Right? So he yelled out my name and my address, and he said, if this person calls up, tell them it's a scam. And like, they don't even have my landline number, right? They have my cell phone number. So I stayed on the phone with him. I got home. I called the sheriff's department that he was supposedly from. They said, it's a scam, hang up. And I said, but, and she said, no, it's a scam, sir, please hang up. Do not do anything more with them. Please hang up. So I hung up. I said, he's got your phone number. She said, I know. It's a spoof number. Please hang up. So I hung up with, she said, hang up with him right now. And I did. She said, did you hang up with him? I said, yeah. She said, it's a scam. So I then called my sheriff's department because I don't live in that county. I live on the county line, but I don't live in that county. And the weird thing is, if this is federal court, as far as I understand the procedure, they would contact my sheriff's department because the district includes both counties, and they would have my sheriff's department come to get me, not the neighboring department, because it wasn't the county court. It was federal court. So I called my sheriff's department, and the woman there was super nice. She was so helpful. And she said, it's a scam, and I explained. She's the one I said, these guys could get an Academy Award. And she said, I know, they're very good. That's how they make their living. Like, this guy shouldn't make a living being a scammer. He should make a living as an actor. He'd win Emmys and Oscars. He was so convincing. He had an answer for everything. And he was also talking really fast, and it was a little garbled. And afterwards, in the cold light of day, you think this. I bet he had a garble button, because he was giving me instructions, like explaining why things were the way they were, and critical bits of information kept getting garbled. And when I asked him to repeat it and slow down, he kept going as fast as he was, and it kept being garbled. And I finally was like, okay, I'll do the next step. So I'm sitting here in my house with $5,000 cash, which I don't like having on me, and I'm going to have to go to the bank Monday morning and put it back in my account. And I'm going to say to them, I'm going to try to talk to a customer service person there and say, guys, you need to know this scam is going on, right? And I came this close to being scammed by this because I thought there was because it was a very realistic looking warrant. So when I guess I sounded upset enough to the person I was talking to that she said, would you like one of the deputies to call you, just to put your mind at ease? And I said, yes, please. Because I said, is there any way I can check whether there is an actual warrant out for my arrest? She said, sir, there's no warrant out for your arrest. But I can have the deputy call you back if you want. And she said, it's going to come from a number that says, anonymous or whatever. She said, you can go ahead and safely answer it. He called my landline, not the cell phone. And he talked to me for about 10 minutes. He was really nice. He said he said he had somebody. He said last week something similar to this, and it was supposedly a deputy, and he got on the line and he said, tell her to ask where he is. I'm like 10 minutes from there. And the guy got off the phone, right? So he said, I said, I assume that once I wired the money, he would have hung up, right? Because I would not have, like, if he would have hung up, I would have showed up at the sheriff's office and they would have said, you just lost $5,000. So anyway, the deputy was really nice. And really the reason I'm telling this story is I'm a smart guy. I'm a professor at a university. I know about these scams. These guys are so convincing. Please, folks, protect yourself. Never, ever, ever, ever send money. And one of the things that stopped me was it said right on the Bitcoin thing, right, when I clicked it, it said, I mistook what it was saying to, like, do you print which button to press, but it had 3 rectangles. And and I don't remember what the other 2 said, but the one on the left said arrest warrants. And it said in big bold letters, like, do not send money through Bitcoin for arrest warrants. It's a scam. We don't do that. And I said, Bitcoin is saying they don't do that. And he said, this isn't an arrest warrant. This is, and he had some other term for it. And what he was claiming was, I'm just depositing the money. I'm going to get a receipt with a special number on it. Save that number. Do not lose the receipt. When you get to the sheriff's department, we will register that you paid the money, and this way it's there. He said, you're not giving any money away. Once you're found, it sounds like you're not guilty, so once you're found not guilty, you get the money back. But don't lose that number, because if you lose that number, you'll never get the money back, right? It's all BS. It was just going to be a receipt. And as soon as it went through, he could have stopped the scam, because it doesn't matter now whether there's a number, whether the number works, right? And I would have showed up in the sheriff's office, and they would have said, that's a scam. You just got scammed out of $5,000. So public service announcement, guys. I hate this kind of thing. And I always wonder, how do people get caught? Well, it's because they make it look really, really good. The court document looked so realistic. When I got home and looked, and he texted it to me, so now I'm looking at it at a tiny screen, right? When I got home and looked at the court document, that is where I noticed that although he claimed that the reason I was in trouble, was because I had not appeared in court as an expert witness. The charge was that I hadn't appeared in court as a juror. That's not the same charge. It's a totally different charge, right? And why would he have told me the wrong charge? And then the Northern District of my state doesn't exist, right? And it was really easy to tell with Google that it doesn't exist. And I've said to myself, I wish I had Googled that, because I would have loved to see what he answered if I said to him, excuse me, but this court document is from the Northern District of this state. Is that correct? If he said, yeah, I would have said, well, how is that possible? This state doesn't have a Northern District. We only have a Middle District, an Eastern District, and a Western District. So what district are we talking about here, right? You can see if I do not do this correctly, you can see how what a pain in the neck it is. I'm hitting the wrong buttons because I'm talking. You can see what a pain in the neck it is to deal with these death shamans, even with the holds, if I just am a second late. And you have to focus on the death shaman, or he'll just keep summoning. So what I try to do is immobilize these guys and stay out of their melee range, and then try to get the death shaman. And I can't fear them because BP don't get afraid. I guess. I have not fought anyone but BP to actually do a good test of this fear power. Fearsome stare. And I have definitely seen that this character does not do enough damage, and I really need to focus on damage SOs when we get to level 27. Oh, I thought this was the lieutenant. I was like, how does he still have almost a full health bar? But he doesn't. He's one of the Hulks. It just takes so long to kill anything with this guy. It almost feels like it's a controller. So what we're gonna do is level 27. I might just triple slot Dark Blast and make sure we got 3 SOs on both of them because we really need to do more damage. I don't pull the Haunts out enough. I'm going to deprioritize them, and I'm going to prioritize Life Drain as well. And we definitely need to get an accuracy on that one because one of the problems I've had with Life Drain is it heals me. Okay, my hit points are going down. I'm going to try to heal, and it misses, and then I don't get the heal. Okay, lots of glowies to click on. So anyway, word to the wise, guys, watch out for scams. No sheriff's department anywhere in America, I think, will ever ask you to use a Bitcoin. Right? That is a sure sign of a scam. And as soon as he said use Bitcoin, I was like, okay, that doesn't seem right. I'm not aware of any government agency that will take Bitcoin. Heck, the federal government's trying to regulate and stop Bitcoin because they don't like it because it's not taxable, right? So I can't imagine that. So yeah, as soon as they said that, I'm like, okay. I was willing to go along with it when I thought I was going to be bringing the cash to the sheriff's department, right? Because the sheriff's department wouldn't scam you. But as soon as he said to bring it somewhere else, I started to get concerned. And this guy had me on the phone for a long time. I don't think I said anything too personal. But once I got the cash, you know, he was very kind of, I don't want to say aggressive, but he was very sort of by the book, very technically, got to do this. He just did a great job sounding like a sheriff's deputy who's trying to get you to follow the law, right? As soon as I got the cash and said I'm on my way to the place that you told me to go, he became very friendly, very conversational. So how long you been living here? What do you do for a living? Blah, blah, blah. Unfortunately, I answered some of those questions, so I hope it doesn't give him the chance to steal my ID. But I've already gotten a notification that everybody's ID has been stolen through the National Public Data Breach, and mine is on the list of, at least my ID has been taken. Whether or not anybody's going to do anything with it, I don't know. And I wonder if that breach somehow led to my phone number getting on the list of these scammers. It's possible. I need to, speaking of that, I need to go to Experian and I have my credit locked, but I need to go to them and put a fraud alert on there just because of the public data breach. And if you were part of the public data breach, you should do something similar. Contact your financial advisor for stuff like that. Don't listen to me. But, you know, this kind of stuff happens. It's going on more and more every day. Guys, just, yeah, don't get caught like I was. I mean, I didn't lose anything. The money is in my house. It's going to be inconvenient to run back to the bank and deposit it, but it's in my house, and, you know, I still have the money. So I didn't lose any money. I lost a little bit of time and a lot of stress. I hear a glowy. Here. Where is it? Where is it? Why am I hearing it down there? In here. Okay. This room, I always miss this room. So yeah, the sheriff's deputy was really nice. There were a bunch of scams like this going on. If you go to the district court website, it says we will never ask you to do anything in Coinstar. But he was very good because the court wasn't asking me to do anything in Coinstar. Right? He was telling me if I did this, they would expedite or whatever. I can't even remember the language he used. But he was using it as a, well, if you don't do this, we're going to have to like fingerprint you and book you and all this other stuff. But we can avoid that if you prepay this thing, right? And I can't remember what, he didn't call it a fine, whatever technical language he used. It was super convincing. Again, this guy, literally better than De Niro. He was so good. Better than Jack Nicholson. So guys, you know, just be careful with stuff like this. Always call the supposed agency and confirm. And the fact that he didn't want me to do that, and he got very nasty and aggressive when I said I was going to confirm. So, well, then I'm just going to issue the warrant for your arrest. And I'm going to have them arrest you. Like, well, there already is a warrant for my arrest, right? According to what he told me. And I'm just going to have him come pick you up. Well, it's been 2 hours. No squad car has come to my house. I live like less than half an hour from the sheriff's department. So where are they? Right? And I think I told the deputy that he got like very angry and frustrated when I said I wanted to confirm, and I said that made me suspicious because I wouldn't think that a real law enforcement officer would be upset if you wanted to confirm that you're talking to a real law. He said no, we encourage that, right, because of just this thing. So he said yes, anytime that you're not sure, call the sheriff's department, call the police department, and confirm. Call the court and confirm it. He said it's a Saturday. The deputy. He was like, we don't do stuff on Coinstar. We do stuff in court. He said there's a whatever, the cashier of the court takes the money. Nobody else takes the money. You have to do it at the courthouse. He said none of this. You don't pay it at the police department. You do it at the court. He said police departments don't charge fines. Courts do. So he said, yeah, there's so much wrong with what this guy was telling you. But people aren't aware of the law or the procedures because most of us haven't been arrested, right? And all you see is what they show on TV, which is not always accurate anyway. So anyway, guys, it may not be unless you find it interesting to laugh at my stupidity that I actually almost got caught. Really, I'm doing this as a public service announcement for the few number of subscribers I have. Don't let anybody scam you like this. If they try to do something like this, say what I should have done, right? Now I realize this now, but you're not thinking clearly and sharply when you are terrified you've got an arrest warrant out. What this guy couldn't know is I have a recurring nightmare that I have maybe once or twice a year, that the police show up at my house with a warrant for my arrest for a crime I didn't even know I committed. And I don't even know what the charges are, and I don't think I ever went to jail over it. It's usually they're at my house, and they're taking me to the squad car and stuff, and I don't even know if I get to the squad car. I usually wake up. But yeah, I have several recurring weird dreams, and one of the recurring nightmares I have is just this sort of thing, that I somehow committed a crime I didn't even know I committed, and now I'm under arrest for it, and I can't even defend myself because I didn't even know I committed the crime, right? So how do I even defend myself from a charge like this? You signed this document and send it back like, no, I didn't. Prove you didn't, right? So part of the reason he was able to get at me was because that is a dream that I've had over and over again. Oh, I feel like only in the house I'm living in now, like just in the last 10 years. I don't know why, but I've had that recurring nightmare several times. And along with other certain recurring nightmares. But that is one that I've had. I mean, maybe once a year I get it. And the other nightmare I had that I get a lot was that I'm forced at work, and I had last night actually. I didn't have this one, but I probably will tonight. But yeah, the one nightmare I had last night that is a recurring nightmare since I've become a faculty member with all the meetings we have, is that I find out there's that I have to do a whole bunch more meetings than I thought I had to do. So last night, normally we meet once a month on Tuesdays. Last night, the department chair said we have to meet every week on Tuesday, and that was one of my nightmares. So yeah, he couldn't have known that, but maybe that's a common nightmare, and that's what they're preying on too. But yeah, just learn from my almost mistake. Do not take a bunch of cash out, put it into Coinstar as Bitcoin or whatever, and think you're sending it to a sheriff's department. Always call them, right? This is what I was about to say, what I should have done, and obviously knowing what I know now, I would have done, and I would probably do again, is I accidentally disconnected the guy at one point. And he called me back and said, we got disconnected, whatever, and please don't hang up, sir, blah, blah, blah. And what I should have done was disconnected him. Said, I think I'm losing your signal, whatever, disconnected him. And that was my cell phone, and just called the landline and said, is this for real? Right? I call the landline and say, I'm on the phone with this officer, and my cell connection is just not working. Can we do this? Can we do this over my landline? And if I tried to do that, the sheriff's office would have said, there's no such person. But he was very convincing, I have to say, and he spoofed the sheriff's department number because I told the other county, my county, I said he spoofed their number, and she said, "Oh yeah, they do that. We know." I said he told me law enforcement numbers can't be spoofed. She said any number can be spoofed, right? Yeah, it's illegal to do it, but it's illegal to do. She said it's illegal to do any of it, right? I am kind of surprised she didn't ask me. And I guess they didn't know the whole scam afterwards. I thought, gee, maybe I'll tell the county, the sort of the U.S. District Court when I call them on Monday. But this guy's awake. It's hard to keep him held. But as I said, I think the two case numbers he gave me, when input together, would make a phone number. I doubt that phone number means anything. It's probably a disposable number. I tried looking it up on Google, and it didn't give me any results. So I'm in trouble now a little bit because this guy is going to be hard to beat if he's not going to. There we go. Just try to double mez him, and so with these guys, I just have to keep the mez going constantly. So I looked up the phone number in like reverse lookup, and it basically just said it was a cell number. So Lord only knows how they run the scam. Somehow or other, they're able to get the money from you, and then they probably abandon that phone number and pick another one for the next guy, right? And if they can just get one person a month to agree to the scam, they make $60,000 a year just from that, free and clear, no taxes, right? So it's like not a gross, but it's like a net of 60,000. So yeah, word to the wise guys. I almost got it. I mean, like literally, he must have been so frustrated with me because he did get kind of nasty at the end and very aggressive and threatened to have me arrested and all the rest. And he said, "You're disrespecting me." And I said, "Sir, I'm not disrespecting. I'm just confirming." He said, "Well, you don't believe me. How would you like it if I said I didn't believe your name was your name? If you told me your name and I said I don't believe you and I'm going to confirm it." I said, "Well, there are known scams out there, and I was trying to be very polite. I said, I'm not being disrespectful. I'm calling you sir, Oh boy, another one of these guys. Oh, I double aggroed. That is really bad. See if we can make him afraid. And we got a death shaman. Okay, this could be a death. I could die here. Let's back up. We over aggroed. We're going to have to back up and try to de-aggro. Run. Yeah, that was an over aggro. I did not realize that guy in the corner was with a boss. So we're just going to hide. We're going to hide. We're going to let them de-aggro, and then we'll go back up and do some pulling because, yeah, these guys are tough. Much tougher than they were against the scrappers. Even when I can hold them. Yeah, so he got very angry and nasty and aggressive, right? He realized he was losing me, right? As soon as I got in the car and started driving home, he got kind of nasty and aggressive, and he said, "Now we won't accept the money." And I was like, "Well, why wouldn't you?" I said, if I get home and call them and they confirm it, I'm going to drive right back in 5 minutes. I'll give you the money. Why can't you take it in 5-10 minutes if you'll take it now? Nope, we can only take it now. And I thought, okay, that sounds wrong, right? And he got very aggressive and angry because you could almost now, as again hindsight, he had me on the phone for like an hour. He had gotten me to get in my car, to drive to the bank, to get cash, to drive to the supermarket, to go to the Coinstar and start hitting buttons. And then I stopped. And he had to think, I've got this guy. I'm about to make $5,000. And I backed off. That's when I came home and checked stuff. Right? But man, I have to tell you, I don't know what my blood pressure must have been at some points because I'm like, do I actually have a warrant for my arrest? Like, what the heck? For something I didn't even know I did, right? And again, that's the nightmare that I always have. That I did something I didn't realize was illegal or whatever, or somebody else did it, but they thought it was me. And before I get a chance to explain myself or anything, because you kind of can't, right? If there's a warrant for your arrest, you kind of can't explain things. They just take you in, right? And then you have to appeal to the justice system and to get it fixed. And so yeah, but the obvious thing that anybody is going to want to do is make this go away, right? But my guess is if I did not once a year have that nightmare, he probably wouldn't have gotten me that far. Okay, the boss is there. Let's see. I don't think the boss is going to aggro. Let's take this guy out. Pull him. We're going to have some death guys coming at me, but that's okay. I think we're all right here. I don't think this guy will aggro us and aggro the boss now. And then we're going to confuse that guy, and we'll immobilize those guys and start pounding. And now the domination comes up. If that had been up before, I might have been all right. So yeah, guys, word of the wise, be very, very careful. I have a story to tell when I go into work. I came a hair from being actually taken by one of these scammers. And every time I listen to the stories, I'm like, how can you be taken in by this? It's obviously false. But when you see what looks like a real court document with your name on it and a warrant for your arrest and the signature of a judge, right? It's hard to just ignore that and say you're a scammer. And again, the guy on the phone, man, was he good. Yeah, literally, the guy could give acting lessons. Right, like voice acting. He could probably make a better living. Instead of scamming people, just be a voice actor and voice cartoons and stuff. He'd be awesome. He was really good. I mean, really good. Most scammers, right, they have a foreign accent or something. This guy had a local accent. I don't know if he was faking it or if he's local, but he had a local accent. And he just talked like a law enforcement officer. They have, you know, this sort of clipped way of talking. The real deputy talked much slower, and he was making sure I understood things. But yeah, man, the guy was good. Okay. So that's enough of that. Let's talk a little bit about video games, role-playing games. I mentioned in the previous episode at the end that I'm thinking about getting Ark Survival Ascended, even though there are some controversies with that game. And since I made the video, literally in 2 days, there's more controversy because Ark has multiple maps. And I think what you're supposed to do is progress through them. So you start in the island, then you go to Scorched Earth, then you go to the center, then you go to Aberration, and then you go to Extinction. And so when they put the new version of Ark, the reskin of Ark, when they put that out, they only put out the island, which ticked a lot of people off. But they had to reskin the whole thing for Unreal Engine 5. Like, I understand that. So then, over the last, 9 months or whatever since it's been out, every couple months they release a new map. So they released Scorched Earth, the second map. They released the center, which is the third map. And they had... I don't know exactly what happened, because what I heard... what the one YouTuber said was they were essentially contractually obligated because they had taken people's money. I don't know if Aberration is an extra cost, but it had to be released on the 4th. I guess because they took money saying that's when it would be released. I'm not sure whether that was comes with the original purchase of Ark Survival Ascended, or whether they had said it later. I don't know, because I haven't bought it yet. And so he said, yeah, they kind of had to release it, but I guess it's unfinished. It's very poorly optimized. A lot of people are complaining about it, and they're mad, right? So this is another reason why there's a miss. There's another reason why maybe I don't want to buy Ark, but I was looking into Ark Survival Evolved, which I own, right? I own that and all the maps for that. And yeah, the problem with that one is almost all of the mods that I use have not been updated in multiple years. Not just like 1 year, but like multiple years. Going back to 2017, 2018. So now I don't know if those mods will work, and I'm not playing Ark Survival Evolved without S Plus, and that hasn't been updated because they moved. The people doing that have moved to the new game, and I don't know if they're maintaining it at all. So yeah, I don't know what I'm going to do with that. I'm going to pause it here, and I'll bring you back in just a sec. So did anybody watching think, uh-oh, the police just showed up at Scrapper's house? Nope. I just take care of something for a minute. And man, look at all these guys. So we have 4 portals to close. Oh, this guy's going to be so hard. All right, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to try to build up domination before I go to that boss, if possible. We should be able to do it. And we're just going to build it up on these guys. Just do a lot of stuff to them. And hopefully our domination bar will be high enough that I can use it on our opponent. Anyway, so yeah, it just absolutely, what would be a great word, chaps my hide to, we're not talking about police anymore, we're talking about Ark, to buy material from a company that I know is behaving this way. But I really want to play some Ark. I've been looking into other survival games. The problem is no other survival game has dinosaurs, and I love dinosaurs. And I really like the UI and the mechanics of the original game. Do you see all the missing I'm doing against yellow cons? I really do like the mechanics of the original game. It's a lot of fun. So I would like to play it, but it just pains me to give money to a company that, you know, is kind of acting the way these guys are acting. Why wasn't this map ready for the 4th? Why was it released late and in an unfinished state? Why haven't they optimized the game yet? Right? Because as I said in one of the in my earlier video, there was a guy who could, you know, enter his own like little parameters into the command window, right? I couldn't see exactly what command he executed, but it immediately like doubled his performance. Like why don't they have it that way already? We have domination up. Okay, so that's good. So let us hit domination. Boom. And we're gonna get this guy dominated. Yeah, I am watching a video. There's several videos up that are pretty cool, heavily edited. Man, missed him again. These guys are so hard to hit. There is a video up called what is it? There's several people who are putting like 100 days of Ark, and of course it doesn't mean you're playing for 100 real days. I don't think. At least the one I'm watching, they're playing for 100 Ark days. There's cycles of this day and night. Interestingly, I should look at the beginning of the video. I don't think he said. I'm curious if they made any adjustments to the length of the day-night cycle, because you can do that in Ark. And in fact, the one guy that I watch, who I watched, he's the one who convinced me to play Ark. It was called It was called Soloing the Ark, and his name is Flinger Fu. And he said he uses the standard day-night cycle for Ark. But what I used to do, and a lot of people do, is cut the night cycle down a little bit. So instead of having it be whatever it would normally be, like 12 hours of daylight, 12 hours of night, you just make it like it's daylight saving time, and you get like 18 hours of daylight and 6 hours of night, just to shorten the night. And the main reason to do that is just that, at least in original Ark, at the night, deflected. The night is very, very dark, right? And you said, well, of course night's dark. Look at this, deflected again. Of course night is dark. Well, yeah, but it's so dark that you can't see what's going on the computer, on the computer screen. And so, as you guys know, I hate that when video games are make it so dark and realistically dark that you can't freaking see anything on the screen. And to me, it's like, well, why'd I pay for a really good graphics card for then? And by the way, I don't think the import performance increases. So what Ark Survival Ascended seems to have done is what Ark Survival Ascended seems to have done. Can I get this guy? Is increase the I don't know, the gamma, or they've done something to. Do you see how hard this guy is to beat? Man. To make it the ambient light brighter at night. I guess the starlight is just a higher magnitude of light or something, or there's a moon all the time, or I don't know. But they've definitely made it brighter and a little easier to see. So I don't know how crucial it would be to ensure that the did I get this thing down here? I did. To ensure that the day is shorter, but I don't know if this guy changed the day duration. I know the one person who was talking about what single player settings to do said that he always like increases the duration of the cycle. Instead of the day-night cycle being 24 hours long, his is 48 hours long, the equivalent of 48 hours long. It's not real hours, of course, right? It's just in-game hours. I think you can also change the ratio of like in-game hours to out-of-game hours, like in other words, how many hours per hour of real time. Not sure about that. I don't remember. And of course, I only played Ark Survival Evolved. But anyway, this one guy who's doing 100 days in the Ark, I've watched like half of his videos, so I'm up to day 50 or something. And he doesn't seem to have encountered. He's encountered a few bugs, but nothing really game-breaking. And the one bug that I worried about, which is resources, at least for him, does not seem to have occurred. Now, I do not know if he he's running a single player instance of the game on his computer, or he's got some sort of a hosted server where the game is up all the time and it's not hibernating the nodes. I just don't know I don't know how he does it. So he didn't really show this setup, I don't think. Unfortunately, he posted like a long time ago when the island first came out. If he was posting to those videos now where he was responding to comments, a lot of people don't respond to comments on older like much older videos. I try to when YouTube shows it to me, but I do want to say, guys, sometimes it doesn't show it to me, and I see it like months later when I happen to look at the video. I'm like, why didn't I respond to this thing? It just didn't show up in my feed. Because as a creator, I get a comment feed that just shows me all the recent comments. And I look at the ones that haven't been responded to, and I try to respond to all of them. Even if it's just to put a like or something on it, or a heart. Just so you know I've seen it, right? Because I feel like it's kind of crappy not to show you that I've seen the comment. Because I get so few of them, right? If I was getting thousands a day, I wouldn't. This guy doesn't get that many. He's got some subscribers. He doesn't get that many comments. If it was a new one and I was sure he'd see it, I would comment there and say, have you ever had, experienced the old bug about the nodes and how they vanish when you're in single player, when you leave the area and stuff and they don't come back? Have you had that happen? So I don't know. It looks copacetic, but I don't really know whether he's had any problems with that or not. He hasn't said it in the narration so far. It may be that he's, and then he went and mined crystal and metal and stuff, and he got a whole bunch of it and built a bunch of glass, like greenhouse stuff. So maybe that's been fixed. Supposedly it still hasn't, and it's still happening for some people. And I think that sort of part of the issue. Which way did we come in here? Okay, I think this is the new floor. Okay. Nope, it's the old floor. Wait a minute, that's up. Wasn't this up? Also up? No, it's down. Okay, I misread that arrow. I thought that it was an up arrow. Yeah, wandering around here, talking, blathering, not paying enough attention. I always forget which was the elevator I came up. Sometimes I think to market. You've seen that, but sometimes I forget. I think to market in the labs. I never think to market here because I'm a little less likely to get lost here. But let's mark. Here's our original. This way, if there are two more floors, and there probably will be, we at least know where we started. So yeah, anyway, in my video last time I did say, and I'll say it again here, if folks are interested in watching me play Ark, whether it's Survival Evolved or Survival Ascended, go ahead and post that here. Um, as I said, we're kind of winding down. This is our 26th level. We have 24 levels to go. So theoretically, there should be 24 more episodes, unless something weird happens. In the case that there are, when this is done, I don't really expect to make a lot more City of Heroes videos. I mean, I suppose I could create a character that's a Let's Rant character for when I have a rant, but I don't always have one. Which is why I, backed off of showing nearly every bit of this character, because you've seen every bit of the blue side multiple times now. Where is that glowy? I'm getting away from it. There it is. So if you don't need to see every bit of the character, then the only reason to record things is if I'm going to be making some sort of a rant or some sort of a discussion that I think is worth talking about, like talking about being scammed or what have you. And there's the last one. Let's go get it. It's a little anticlimactic that they were all over the place, and now on the last level, I clicked them all without seeing. I mean, there were bad guys around, but I didn't even have to touch them. And there we go, mission complete, enhancement found. So I think that's enough, guys. You got to hear about me being stupid and almost losing $5,000, and we finished the story arc. So we have completed the Scroll of Tieleku. We are now a little more than halfway to level 27, so I'll do a couple of junk missions until I get a story arc, and sometime in level 27, we'll come back and you'll see how I've enhanced this character and all of that. I hope you've enjoyed. Until next time, I am Scrapperlock, and this has been City of Heroes.